Good evening, everyone. It's Karen here, talking to you all the way from frosty, snowy Bethany, Ontario, where it's a little bit, we had like a balmy day today. I think it was like minus 18. That's like 0 Fahrenheit. So it was like pretty cool. Yeah, so I was just a couple of minutes late here because just as I was logging on, I do this, it's a bad habit, but I actually looked at my feed in my social medias before I came on, and I got some bad news. Just a friend of mine, her favorite dog passed away, and he was 12, so he lived a good life, but still, you can't, those things have a hit. So anyway, this week we're going to talk about jumping dogs, and her dog was not a jumper, it's a noof, so they don't jump. They're too big. Anyway, so let me know hey Ann, good to see you here. Yep, good to see everybody. Welcome. It's been another busy week here. Weather just won't quit. You know what? We're going to talk about some jumpy dogs. I had a client last week who has a morbid fear of dogs, literally like a debilitating fear. And when we dug deeper, we found out kind of where that came from. And I'm going to talk about that in a future episode. But this week I want to talk about jumping, because the main comment that she kept saying was, I was so afraid he was going to jump on me. Because when people perceive a jumping dog, if you have a fear, they're also thinking bite, like he's going to jump on me and bite me. So my dogs don't jump, actually. I just finished doing a YouTube video. You'll see some demonstrations on that video of how I can't get my dogs to jump on me. So that'll be ready early next week, so be sure to check it out. But, basically people just push the dog, and it's such a big thing to do with puppies. Because you push them and then you pet them. So, and then what do? They keep jumping, because if pushing worked, you wouldn't be dealing with jumping now, would you? When I ask them, so what do you do when he jumps? And well, I push him off. And then what does he do? Well, he waits, and then he jumps again. So, that's just, you get what you pet. So that's just, putting out effort without getting results. So you need to take a better look at it. So, people say, I've tried everything. You've tried being calm. You've tried being firm. Get off of me, stop it. You've tried ignoring. You've tried pushing. And you've done just that one more correction, but the dog still jumps. So, you know what? It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. It doesn't mean you're inconsistent. It just means something's not working in the moment. And dogs live in the moment. And sometimes we don't even know what they're thinking, what they've perceived, or what they're seeing. And of course, Prince takes this time here. I'm going to just close the door so you can see him. He takes this time to chew on his bone, so I don't know if you can hear that, but I can hear it in the background. But anyhow, if you haven't already, please type jumping in the comments to get this workbook and follow along with. I'm just going to go through the workbook, and I'm going to tell you give you some tips, and we're going to set the context. And so if you haven't already, type jumping in the comments to get access to this workbook. My assistant said just jump, so hopefully jumping works. A whole bunch of people typed jumping earlier on in the week, and I thought that was the trigger. So it's just jump. My mistake. All right. Oh! My cheat notes just fell on the floor. I don't know. It's hard to get Scotch tape that holds very much anymore. Good grief. Anyway, that's just my thing. So jumping on the countertop. So I had a client this week, and he lets his dog jump on the coffee table. And here's a true confession. My dog jumps on the coffee table. She Pippi anyway, not the big guy, but the little one over there under the light. You can see Pippi right there. Yep, that's her favorite spot because she gets heat from the light. She likes to sit up on the I actually have a bed there for her. She jumps up on the table. You can do those kind of things when you live on your own. So, it's just like right there, and I don't really care. So she just looks out the window, watch the birds go by, and So, anyways, jump. Type jump in the comments. My mistake. I've just been corrected here. Jump only. And you will get access to the workbook. And we're going to start right off the bat. So what's your dog currently doing when people come through the door? Well, Lisa just mentioned she jumps on the countertop. So the question is, how do you deal with that? Jumping on the countertop is a little bit different than jumping on people, but it's still essentially the same response. You stand back and you scream, stop it, get off the countertop, and the dog just thinks that's the game. But the idea that, especially for jumping on the countertop, is you want to get between the dog and the countertop. So you see the desk over there. I would just go, and I push my way in there, by the way. I push my way in, and then I step forward into the dog's space. And as soon as their feet are on the floor, good dog. I don't feed them. If I'm going to feed them, if I'm going to give them a food reward, I'm going to walk away, and I'm going to give her another job to do away so she doesn't understand. You know how dogs live in the moment? So I don't want her to think, I jump on the counter, mom steps in, and I put my feet in the floor, I get fed. Because now you've got this cycle that says countertop, floor, feed. So the dog's jumping on the countertop. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say, no, stop it. I'm going to calmly and assertively, which means you've got to be supervising the dog. You can't just kind of go away. If you go away, she's going to jump on the countertop. Trust me. How do I know that? Ask me. I have a dog that's eaten more butter tarts in her life than I have. And you have to be there. So when we're home, she doesn't do that anymore. She doesn't do it anyways, but because she's too old. But for the longest time, as long as we were there, she wouldn't do it. However, I digress. Let's go back to the jumping on the counter. You go, you work, you have to be there. Don't panic and don't run and don't get all freaked out about it. Just calmly walk between the countertop, which is here, and the dog, and you turn your back to the countertop and you face the dog and you take a half a step forward and the dog should back away. She's not going to go around you and jump on the countertop. She's going to back away. And then when she may even sit, but either way, a half a step, and then you stop your forward momentum and you go, good dog. Or if she sits, good sit. Let's go. And maybe take her somewhere else. You know, we do our treating in the laundry room, but somewhere else to get a reward or not. You just walk away and you can pet her. You tell her she's such a good girl when you're away from the countertop. Repeat, repeat, repeat. That's how it works. So, you know, there's a whole variety of options that people do. Typically when the dog jumps on the counter, jumps on people, jumps on furniture, if it's not allowed in the furniture, you know, they either push them off, like push, they laugh at them, and oh, you're so cute, especially puppies, oh my God, because it's so, you know, oh, you're so cute, it's okay. And how many of you have had guests that go, it's okay, I don't mind if they jump on me, or they turn and walk away and do the postman syndrome. So it's not okay, because dogs will repeat the behavior that gives them a reward. And if you don't let your dog jump on you, you step into their space and do everything right, but someone in your family or one of your friends comes to your house and they say, it's okay, I don't mind, they are compromising your hard work. They are devaluing your investment of time, and they are confusing your dog. So your job is to educate everyone who comes into your house to do things the same way, so that the dog understands this, it never works no matter what. And I'll tell you, it's the hardest thing to do, because even here, you know, people they come here for help. And so what happens is, you know, they tell me the story, or they'll say, I don't mind her jumping on me. I do, because it's inappropriate social behavior. And if you reward it in any way, shape, or form, dogs acknowledge attention in ways that we sometimes don't even know. And they will repeat the behavior that works for them. So if they think that jumping on you, and you know how many of you have a puppy, cute little puppy, and it's okay when they jump on you. You go, oh, she's just a puppy. It's okay when they jump on you. But then when they get to be 80 pounds and they're 6 months old and they're still jumping on you, it's not okay. But they've got that hardwired habit in their brain that says, every time I put my feet on somebody, I got attention. And then at 6 months old and 80 pounds, it becomes negative attention, but it's still attention. So the response is, don't let them learn that jumping is exciting, because it's not. And you're not exciting when they do it. So, all right. If you've typed jump in the comments and you've got access to your workbook, you should be able to do it as a fillable or to print it. And just write down, you know, there's a question there that says, when was the last time your dog jumped and what happened? But at the very bottom of that, write down, I am not going to give any more attention, or I'm going to stop giving attention for jumping. Period. That's it. Because you can speak to them. If I'm standing over here and the dog comes flying and jumps on me and I go and I push them, that's their game. For some dogs, it's their game. How many of you have pushed your dog down and the dog goes spinning around and comes back and jumps on you again, and you push him again, and then he jumps harder and faster, because that's their game. It's attention. So you don't want to do that. All right. So remember, it's jump, not jumping, apparently. Yeah, so you say she can't get up there, but she tries. Whether it's one of the Yorkies or the Border Collies, here's my approach to that. If, they can air jump, I call it air jumping, I'd still walk between and claim that space. And I still turn towards the dog to let them know that this is my space. You can air jump if you want, but you're giving intention. So my Pomeranian, I'm just going to give you an example of how that can work depending on the age of the dog. She doesn't do it anymore because I think she's actually injured herself doing this. I watched her one day because I was curious to see how this little dog could get up on the countertop. She would jump and jump and jump and jump, and then she would get a little bit closer. Then she would start to put her feet on the back, and she would use the countertop or the doors. They didn't scratch, but it was amazing. But as leverage, and then she would get closer, and then she would start to pivot with her feet and pivot, and finally, then she would get on. That's how she did it, and because particularly when we weren't there. But I hid one day and I watched it. Man, she never. I interrupted her before she got on there, but yeah. So how do you deal with that? I just explained one way where you walk in between and you claim that space. But what happens when guests come to the door, or you come home from work? Let's start there. Let's say you come home from work and the dog's been home alone all day, and you're happy to see them, and they're happy to see you. And you really want to go and let her out, but don't do that. You want to get right down on the thanks, Bo. Good. So just check the link there, the americasfavepet.com. If you like bulldogs and Bo the English Bulldog's here all the time, go in and give him a vote. You can get 2 votes for no cost, and every vote matters. Yeah, she just yeah. So that's what my Pom would do, and she would pivot on the edge until she'd finally use that as a springboard to get on. So I started to walk between. She doesn't do it anymore, but I walk in between, and that was it. But so let's talk about people. So the thing is, people come in, or you come home, and everybody's excited. And depending on the size of the dog, but we're just going to give an average dog a Prince. I can't get any of my dogs to jump on me because it's never been a habit that's been rewarded. It doesn't work for them. They see there's nothing in it for them, so they just don't waste their time on it. Similarly, even when company comes, because they come in, the dogs, they bark, but here's your thing to do. If the dog's coming running, whether it's in your house, at your doorway, or in a park where you've met some friends to walk the dog, stand still, fold your arms, look away. Only because, sorry about that. I'll show you what just happened here. Prince just jumped up on, talking about jumping up on the countertop. It's not a countertop, he actually has a bed up here, and he likes to be high, so I didn't see him coming. Good one, Prince, thanks for that. Now I'm all messed up on my organization here. There we go. Oops, okay. So, my cheat notes keep dropping down. Anyway, there we go. So, you act like a tree, basically, is the Prippy got all upset too. Act like a tree. And you can fold your arms and look away. The reason you fold your arms is because if you have your hands dangling, depending on the breed, we almost instinctively start moving our hands like, stop it. So they're gonna go for the moving object, which would be your hand. But the other part about folding, it helps you to brace yourself and look away. Now, the theory is that you have to be ready for the dog to sniff and be able to tolerate that. Because dogs see the world through their nose first. Then their eyes, then their ears. So if you're busy yelling, you've got everything in reverse. So that's just basically jacking up the dog and increasing the adrenaline. So, type jump in the comments if you want, even though, sorry, I said jumping at the beginning. Jump, J-U-M-P, jump. So by acting calm, by not giving them any attention and allowing them to see you through their nose by sniffing, they'll sniff your shoes, they'll sniff your pants, they'll sniff your coat, and sometimes they'll sniff your crotch. Remember the doggy handshake is they sniff each other's butts, and we hate it, but that's how they're getting to know you. And I know that sounds like a little bit more information than what you need to know, but that's how they say hello. That's how they find out who you are. And when they realize after all of that, there's nothing in it for them and you're okay, I know your fear might be oozing out of your pores, but they don't see or feel any increase in energy, they'll just go, oh, nothing here for me, just walk away. They just walk away. Here's what you don't do. and you'll read this just about everywhere. Do not do this. Don't turn your back on the dog. Why? Well, let's get into what dogs really are. Dogs are predators. They are hardwired as predators. Some are more hardwired than others, like this guy that's kind of right. I can't twist that thing again or I'll be all messed up. But like Prince, who's just kind of laying here right beside us. He wants to get up close and personal to the action, right, Prince? Can you see him there? There he is. Hey, Prince, let me take a look at the... Oh, I'm going to see your butt. Anyway, I won't do that again. They're predators. And what do prey do? What do predators do? They take their prey from behind. Up the back. How many times have you seen a dog fight that has started by one dog climbing up another's back? Right? So, don't turn your back on them. If the only movement I would make on a dog to change my position, never mind. Leave it. So I got him giving a hard stare to Pippi the Papillon because she's in his crate, cleaning up the crumbs from his food that he didn't eat. So the only thing I will do if a dog I know is really coming hard, I might sort of turn sideways while I still keep my head this way and I'll hip check him. And that's only because I want to create some equal and opposite force. So without emotion to it, that's the hard part, without emotion, because if they come straight on, I'm going to back up. And when I back up, what am I doing? I'm giving space to the dog. So as predator mindset goes, okay, well, space is a resource and I own everything as leader. So the dog, you don't want the dog to have that mindset. If he pushes you off your feet, it's a victory. It's a little temporary victory for him. So the most movement I'll do is I might turn my to my side and just put my hip out a little bit. And that's only for bigger dogs. Little dogs, I'll just stand my ground and wait. Case in point, had an example on the weekend with this person who was deathly afraid of dogs. Her new partner has a beautiful German Shepherd, and it didn't go well the first time they met. So we worked on this. We worked on this exact thing because I'm afraid she's going to jump on me. So I basically held her and had her looking at me and folding her arms, and all the dog did was go all around her, sniff her shoes. Pippi's trying to get up on her spot. Sniff her boots, her pants, her coat, and a few other places. And then she just walked away. She was, oh yeah, you, okay, I got it. You're okay. And then walked away. That's it. So if you can teach your company to stand still, or when you meet a dog, I say you're going on a hiking trail, just stand still, fold your arms, and look up. Okay? So that's step 2. Step 1 is just, step 1 is remove all attention. And then when they move away, like this, in this particular case, because the dog had been crazy, if the dog's been really crazy and they sniff, and then they walk away, I don't say anything. I'll just go about my business. And just as the dogs go about their business once they've figured somebody out, they don't bounce along and go, oh, you're such a good dog. No, they sniff. Okay, I'm not going to jump on you. I'm not going to fight with you. Or just go away. So the whole idea is you be more dog-like. And just watch how dogs interact when they first get to know each other and they do the handshake. Yeah, Lisa says, I tell people to stand still and don't move till the dogs quit. And then they ignore them. And that's exactly it. It's simple. Don't yell. I don't even use this very often because oftentimes it creates a negative association with the person they're just trying to get to know. And when the dog discovers the solution on their own, it's way more empowering for them. It sticks. In other words, it's like a human experience. We learn better by doing. Oh, jeez, excuse me. When the dog basically comes up with their own solution, then they know what's right because it's worked for them. If you're correcting and they're really not sure what they're being corrected for, because let's face it, they're just trying to figure out what this person is, or maybe they're super excited to see them because it's been a while. So if you're the leader of your pack, so to speak, and you've been away for a day, an afternoon, or longer or shorter, if you've just been absent for any length of time, you want to come in as the leader and set the tone. That doesn't mean you can't be happy to see the dogs, but you have to set the tone from the get-go. Then when they're calm, then you can get down on the floor with them and you can have a love fest. All right. So we've got some questions here. Does that make sense? So you're withdrawing all attention. And then when you're down on the floor or they walk away, good dog, and you walk away. If you have guests coming to your door, and as Lisa said, you just get them to ignore ignore the dogs, and then the dogs will sniff, 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 then they just go away. You have two options. I would say, yeah, good dog. When you're in the teaching phase, when you've got a dog that's jumpy, 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 especially as a puppy, and they put their feet on the floor and they look at you because they say, see what I just did? You go, that's a good girl. And you walk to another location or give them another job. If you want to use food, I want to get away from that site where the jump is. I'll go, oh, what a good girl. Let's go. Let's go as a cue to follow. Now she's doing a different job. Now she's not associating anything with the jumping. Or you say, let's go, and I send her to place, or let's go, and we go to the kitchen, and we get a reward. If you want to do that. But food is an option when it comes to 4 on the floor. That's the context in your mind. You think that 4 on the floor, 4 on the floor. And if you want to start to label it, you can go good off. I honestly have a hard time teaching a command for don't jump unless I'm teaching a contrast. And then I'll teach a command to jump, like pause up on my shoulder, touch my arms, whatever you want to say. And then, yes, good touch. And you can hug them and do whatever you want. And then it's forward and off. So you've got, or whatever you want to say. I don't use down because that's for something else. But you have to have two contrasts. So for that reason, I don't teach dogs to jump on me on command. I'm not a trick trainer. So a trick trainer will have a different perspective because they'll teach the dog to jump on their back or jump over or do something. That's all part of the job for the dog. It isn't the dog taking control of the person's personal space. So just notice that difference. So the idea, particularly with young dogs that are just learning this, they come in and jump on you, I know how hard it is to not pet them, especially when they're so cute. And then you just fold your, stand still, let them sniff. They might be persistent. If they're persistent, and I've had people say this, well, she just keeps jumping, just step forward. And then they'll pop to the side. As soon as they pop to the side, you go, yes, good dog, let's go. And away you go. And then they learn that when they pop to the side, there's something else going to happen, and away they go. Does that make sense? Double tap on the screen if that makes sense, and be sure to type "jump" in the comments to get a copy. You'll see a lot of this framework in the workbook. Does that make sense? Give me a double tap on the screen, or am I just sort of? Can you even hear me? I don't know. So now we've withdrawn all attention. That's step 1. We've marked the exact moment they put their feet on the floor. And we've either moved to a new location, given them a different job so that we can reward them. That's step 2. Now, what's the third and final step? Rinse and repeat. That's it. But do it in different locations, not just in one spot. I mean, for sure, work the door, because the door is where a lot of times the biggest issues are. Or I have had some of my students have said, that they're helping their friends and they go on hikes and they get to the park where the hike starts and they get bombarded with these dogs that are jumping all over them. So no, you just do the same thing. You just do the same thing and then shuffle through their space. That's step 3, is take it out into the real world. You can practice going and coming and going, like coming in the house, going back out, coming in the house, going back out, to get that pattern behavior in their head, so that they know that this is always how it works. I like to do reps of 3 to 6 because brain pattern works in 3s. And the thing to not do when they jump, first of all, you don't turn their back. But secondly, when you come in the house, don't go, Prince, I'm so happy to see you. Well, that's a good dog. Because you're rewarding the behavior you don't want. You're creating it. So always calm when you come in the house. Remember, even if you're gone for a minute and you come back in, you want to reestablish your leadership. And you do that through energy. Calm energy creates calm energy. And similarly, chaos creates chaos. So your dog will mirror your energy. That is why yelling at your dog to stop barking, stop jumping, never works. Because they bark and you go, stop it. They jump and you go, get off me. And they go, oh wow, I gotta overpower that. I've got to be bigger than that. So calm creates calm. So when they jump, you withdraw all attention, because negative attention is still attention. Yelling at them is still attention. bopping them or air gun or water gun is still attention. And it may seem like it works, but it's going to pop out somewhere else, or they're going to just jump on somebody else. And not everyone's going to come in the door with a water bottle in their hand or an air gun, but everyone can come in your door and stand still and look at you. And oftentimes that's what you need to do. If they're that nervous, you just look at me, and you can work your way to be between the dog and your company. Now you're going to be close to their face, but the dog's going to be behind you. And if it goes to jump, it won't jump on you, but if it comes around, you can turn around, you can move it back, and then you just come back, and you just put, just quantum physics. No, you just stay back there. Ideally, you teach them to go to place, but sometimes you don't have that. You can position yourself, but when you train your company and your family coming home, everyone in the family has to be on the same page here, because if there's a difference, in other words, you train them all, and then somebody decides they know better, the dog's going to be confused. And dogs will do what works to their advantage. So if they find it more enjoyable to get these excited greetings from some family members, they'll try it with all family members. So withdraw attention, stand still, act like a tree, get everyone in the family and then who comes to your house on the same page. Step number 2, as soon as they've got 4 on the floor, you can mark that with a yes, and then you give them another job, which means move away before you offer any kind of affection or other reward, so that they don't associate the reward they're getting, of whether it's affection, attention of some sort, or food, with the sequence of jumping and putting their feet on the floor. They had to do one more thing. Dogs live in the moment, so what happened 5 seconds ago is over. Now we're moving on. And the third step is just repeat in a variety of different situations and places, and have the same response all the time. So it might be, you've got your door manners nailed, and then everybody gathers together to watch the Super Bowl in the basement, and every time someone comes down the steps, the dog wants to get up and go jump on them. So you've got to teach them to come down the steps calmly, and do the same response, no attention. Okay. Type your questions, and be sure to type jump in the comments to get a copy of the workbook that this comes from. There's a bunch of different things you can fill out here to help you you can tie this in with what I've just said, and it'll help you understand what's going on in your dog's head. So, just to wrap this up, remember, dogs learn from calm. Calm creates calm. Consistency with calm will give you more of that. You get what you pet. That's why it's important to be consistent and behave in the way that you expect your dog to behave. And every time you follow through with that, you're going to, what we call, wrap the myelin, decrease the distance between the neurons, shorten the firing time to get the behavior that you want. So that you're just building that brain pattern that says, none of my dogs jump. None of them. Now, my old guy, the 14-year-old, he jumps on my husband at night. Why? Because for years, he would come and put his feet up on him, and my husband would reach down and pet him. So now he does it, and he's old, and he's sick, and he falls over, and my husband gets upset. I go, you freaking created it. Now that's not an annoying behavior, but now it's dangerous because he's frail. So think of that long term. What could happen if your dog jumps on you when they're old? They could get hurt. Or when you're old, you could get hurt. So you want to keep their feet on the floor. All right? Questions. Let's get to the questions. Okay. So Lisa, thank you. Tara Num. Hi, my dog always wants food constantly. Kind of annoying. Yep. I feel bad again. He's also allergic to some kind of food. How can I make him not beg? Stop feeding him. Easy. Same thing as the jumping. Stop feeding him. Because here's what happens. And ask me how I know. We have pizza. We have pizza night. And dogs love pizza crust. And now that the old guy can't have it because of his, he's in his digestion system and all that, we have a habit we have to break. And he is relentless because for 8 years, 10 years maybe, he always got pizza crust on pizza night. So now we get up and we walk to the kitchen and we give it to certain dogs. But the point is, if you want your dog to not beg for food, don't give him food. Have him recognize, my dogs don't beg, they get food. I don't even feed Prince food for work anymore. The work is the reward. and even Pippi, the work is a reward. She's just happy to know I'm happy. But they know when it's dinner time. And by about 15 minutes before dinner, breakfast, they'll pace. Like, come on, let's go. We got to eat. We got to eat. We got to eat. That's not begging. That's just pushing because we need to be on a schedule. Consistency. So if you want your, and yeah, he's allergic to some food, so he needs to eat at specific meal times, and that's it. And if he's begging for food, he's manipulating you, which means you don't have to work on getting him to pay attention to you because you've already got that relationship. So I just stop. It's simple. I know it sounds harsh. You stop feeding him. And if he's doing this, he's bumping your arm, you just cross your arms and walk away, look away. And if you want to, you just go, nope, and you just walk away. Or you walk through it, better still, instead of walking away, you walk into a space, fold your arms, and keep going. Nothing. That's it. All right, I got a question here. My lab likes taking a dish towel from my kitchen counter. Well, it's the same approach. So here's the other part of that is you want to, first of all, so I hang kitchen towels on the stove handle, so they hang down. But I've taught my dogs there's nothing in it for them, not by yelling at them, not by standing back and screaming, not even by chasing them if they happen to grab a towel when they're puppies, but by watching for them to approach that stove, and I just go and stand in front of it. And I'll put my back to them and work at the stove because this is my place, not theirs. So you have to be consistent, and you have to own the space. And if she has a habit or he has a habit of taking the towel off, then get between the towel, wherever it is on the counter, and walk forward. The other thing, if you want to scare him, you can put pie plates on it. When he pulls the towel down, all the pie plates come down, but that just might be enough to pique his curiosity even more. Own the space and be consistent. And you put the towel where they can't reach it, but I don't put my towels out of reach. They can all, even the little dogs can reach them. They don't even smell them because they've never had access. And if your dog, every time the dog gets away with stealing the towel, that's a victory for them. It's a victory. So now to undo the victory, you've got to work twice as hard. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's how it works. It's like this. But you will keep, if you stay consistent, you'll end up overcoming the behavior. But everyone in the family has to be aware of what the situation or what the protocol is to prevent this habit from repeating. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay. Jump and stealing stuff, it's the same approach. You just claim the space. I know it sounds interesting. Oh, you're welcome, Lisa. Thanks for sharing your story. Appreciate that. All right. What would be, okay, here we go. Shelley A. Nelson. What would be the reason for 2 shepherds, and the other one wants just there we go. What would be the reason for 2 shepherds, and the other one wants just lately picks a fight with the older one. Oh, and there's 2 years between them. How old are they all together? Because what's happening is they are vying for territory. And the problem with that, are they both males? It doesn't say. You don't say whether they're both males or females, Shelley. The problem with that is if they're vying for territory, you won't be able to predict it. There'll be times when one's cranky with the other one, but you won't be able to predict it. It's brutal. When Pippi first came, there was a lot of fights. But we started to be on it. And you have to be ready. This is another spatial thing, people. If you've got 2 dogs living in the same house that are fighting, you need to be aware. You need to be hyper vigilant to be in between those dogs at all times and be ready that if they happen to come together, they are going to fight. Fighting. There is a thing I wrote. Vina, what's the trigger for the dog fighting video? I'm sorry, I don't have it here. There is a checklist that I did about breaking up dog fights. It's about breaking them up, but and I've also, you can go to my website, OntarioDogTrainer.com, and look up the blog and read that. There are some tips in there on how to prevent dog fights, because the best way to not get hurt is to prevent them in the first place. But when they're living in the same house, I'm just telling you, it's tough. And my suggestion, Shelley, would be this. I don't know where you live, but I would bring a professional, and I mean a seasoned professional, not someone that's been in the business for anything less than 5 years, preferably anything less than 10 years, because they won't have the depth to see what they need to see to understand the dynamics of those 2 dogs. You need to get help into your house to figure out what's going on so someone doesn't get hurt. Usually, probably a person, because the dogs will fight and then they'll do whatever. But as you said, it's just started, 2 years between them. There's a good chance that one of them has just decided now that they're going to be the boss of the older one, and the older one's decided, not yet, Sonny. So we're going to fight this out, and it's not pleasant. So get help. If you really want, I can coach you through this for sure. I need more information. Go to the click on the link in my bio under the Stand Store to book a coaching call. I'm happy to do that, because don't let this go. Don't think that they're going to grow out of it, or they're going to figure it out. They will not, until someone gets seriously hurt, and then you'll figure it out, and not the way you want. All right, sorry. Okay. Yeah, so Lisa says a border collie that cries and comes and sits on you and licks you. Okay, well, I wouldn't let her sit on you. I would let her sit beside you, because she's coming in to take your space because you're exhibiting weak energy. She's not feeling sorry for you. You're exhibiting weak energy. She's licking you to put her scent on you so that she lets everybody else know that it's okay. She's got it. But it's fine. You know, Prince knows when I'm sad, I'll put her down or whatever. He'll come and he'll lean against me, and I allow that, but I don't like the licking. But I also don't let him sit on me. And he has his ways to communicate what's what, but I don't let him sit on me. I'll let him sit beside me. On top of is in control of. That's dog thinking. So you don't want that. And so, all right. Ottawa, pet care. Okay. Possible to help senior. I need a lot more information in Ottawa pet care than that. Yes, it's possible, but how old is the dog? Is it a rehome? Big dog with a puppy attitude. That's fun. What's the context there? It's just because yes, but it's tough. It's tough. Yeah, I think I can. Sometimes that's a good attitude if you know how to work with it, Lisa. That's a good attitude to have. Remember, folks, type jump in the comments to get a copy of the workbook that goes with how to stop jumping without pushing, because yelling at the dog and pushing them off, the myth is, well, I just push him to the floor. I push him to the floor, and then what? I've had people say this, in fact, puppy people. I push him to the floor, and then I pet him because I don't want him to think I'm mad at him. What have you taught him? You've taught him when he jumps on you, he's going to get a little bit of assertiveness on the floor, nothing too bad, because dogs are pretty tough, and then he gets rewarded. You're rewarding him for jumping. So stop doing that. Don't push the dog to the floor. Stand, fold your arms, act like a tree, shuffle through their space if needed. If their feet go, because when they're really persistent, like if I do this and they just won't stop, and sometimes it happens, particularly if you're nervous, because they're really trying to get control, or they're trying, depending on the breed, they may be trying to move you away. So what you want to do is shuffle forward into their space. If they're persistent, I'll shuffle forward. And as soon as they stop, I go, yes, good dog. Then we'll go do something else. And it's a split second, like maybe to the kitchen or to another room for food. So grab your copy. Just type jump in the comments and grab your copy. Okay. Yeah, so the separation, I need more information. And depending on, separation anxiety is it's like autism. It's such a broad spectrum of things that need to be, looked at. If you're in Ottawa, just call Walk With Me Ottawa and talk to Emma or one of her crew and have them give you some advice. And if you want, same thing, I'm happy to talk to you. If you want more information, or if you want to share more information, let me know. Just go in the Stand Store and click on the book a call, and I'm happy to talk to you about some options. I do have a blog, I believe, on my website, ontariodogtrainer.com, on separation anxiety and how to care for senior dogs, because sometimes senior dogs, they're my kind of, everybody has a soft spot for senior dogs. How can you not? But the thing is, sometimes they develop it later. Like the separation anxiety comes on later because their senses start to decline, particularly hearing. And if they can't hear you, they can't hear anything, they have a sense of panic. So one suggestion before we, try to make things up would be to get the hearing check, get a vet check, just get a wellness check to make sure everything's okay. And they may, suggest some tests or something for the hearing, but it's worth it. Because if you know that the dog can't hear you, and that's what's causing if it's new, the new behavior, like I'm assuming here, because it helps separation anxiety in a senior dog. There's two options here. It's either a newly adopted dog that the new owners didn't know it had separation anxiety, and that's probably why it was let go, or it's a new behavior. And if it's a new behavior that seems to be unexplained, it's generally because something is starting to fail. And it's really important to check with your vet, because just get a wellness check, and then that'll answer some questions, and then we can take it from there. Okay, I hope that helped. All right, yeah, good. Oh, good, Sanel, thanks for that. Yep, okay. Yep, all right. Stand still, don't move. Yep, perfect. Okay, I'm just looking for questions here. If you've got any questions, post them in the comments. We've got some interesting things coming up for sure in the next couple of weeks. And we are now in February. Oh my gosh, this is the first Tuesday in February. Hey, Care Bear, welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, okay, we talked about that. I'm just catching up. So my assistant puts the questions in, oh, we got another question, puts the questions in on my computer so that I'm not doing what I was just doing here. Scrolling by and going, oh yeah, I answered that one, answered that. But it does allow me to see who's here. Yeah, and that I might have missed. And I'd like to catch everybody. If you've got anything to say about the special weather events in your place, let me know. Because it's been, actually we had some balmy days here. It was actually sunny yesterday. It was above seasonal. Okay. Isn't that cool? So Lisa, I was talking about, Lisa Ferrari Terry was talking about her border collie jumping up on the counter, not really getting up on the counter, but kind of getting ready to pivot. And my suggestion was, it's a spatial issue. The countertop is a resource, but the space in between is what the leader needs to control. And in a very benevolent, you can stand back and yell, and all that's going to do is jack her up. Go, stop that! Don't do that! She doesn't know what that means. It's just noise, and it's high energy. So she's going to go higher. But instead, you walk between, and you turn to the dog and back her away, and as soon as she puts her feet on the floor, you praise that, and then you walk to another location to reward. And she said she tried it with the border collie, who would be the one I would think would be most intent to get up on the counter, and it worked. Yay! So now you just have to repeat, and be prepared. If she gets away with it with some other member in the family, then she might need a few reminders. But now you have a system. And that's what's important, is the consistency of the system makes it easier to repeat, so that the next time she does that, if you get 2 or 3 really good successful reps in and somebody misses and she gets away with it, well, the next time you see it or whoever, they go, oh, darn it, I missed it. Because let's face it, we're all human. They just go back to what they were doing the same way. Don't yell. You just go back to claiming the space. You just pick up where you left off, and the dog goes, oh, right, well, guess it didn't work after all. That's what the dog thinks. And then they just go, okay, every time you repeat, you get more of the behavior you want. Good. Thanks for sharing that, Lisa. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, Shelley. Okay. Your German Shepherd's both females, and their age is 5 and 7, I'm assuming then, or 5 and 3, just because the and cuts off there. Oh boy. My experience, I'm going to say it again, get help, because my experience with particularly females, I don't know. I mean, I've got 2 males, 2 females. The 2 males never meet. Prince never meets the Havanese ever. And the 2 females, I still keep an eye on them, because Pippi, little, cute little butterfly ears, she's a bossy little thing. And I'm constantly walking between her and the Pomeranian, because she'll nip at her, and then finally the Pom has enough of it, and the Pom's she's 10 now, so I don't want any scuffles. But 2 years apart is exactly where that competition for the top dog thing is going to start. 5 is, I would have expected it a little at one of them, when one of them turned 2, I would have expected it to start then. I don't keep any more than 2 years usually, but I used to keep my rule was 2 years between dogs, because I wanted the first dog to be deferring to me as the leader, and then when the new dog comes in, the older dog gets to go in its own place. Well, I spend one-on-one time with the puppy and one-on-one time with the other dog. So in the interim, while you're waiting for help, I wouldn't say not put them together, but I would be spending a lot of one-on-one time with each dog. So if you normally do a 1 hour walk in the morning with both dogs and dragging you down the street, split it in half, take one dog for half an hour, bring her back, put her away, and get the other dog out. So they start to understand walking is where leadership begins. They start to understand that you're really the one that's in charge, and spend a lot of time in the house with them when they're in the house, walking between them. And if needed, if you have someone else that lives in the house with you, you keep them tethered. And then when you're sitting around at night, everybody's, we call sit on the dog. You sit on the leash of each dog so that they don't get a chance to get access to each other. That's where you start. But you will always, if they've started to fight now, and this is a new event, you're going to have to be on that, like probably indefinitely. So get some help. You know, that's all I can say. Get someone in there to look at it. Like, you need eyes on that. And like I say, and if you want to talk to me about it, by all means, let's have a chat. But it's not a situation that I would want to be in. Put it that way. And they've all grown up together, but all of a sudden, probably, is it the younger one going? There's something going on there for sure, and I can't speculate. So either bring somebody in or go to my bio, click on the link in the stand store to book a call, and you know, at least we could start there and see whether or not there's things to do. But the starting point for you at home is start walking them separately, doing activity things with them separately. And then when they come in, you're the leader. Walk between their space every chance you get. Even if they look like they're just kind of, you know, if one's laying down here and one's laying down here, walk up the middle. And that's just a subtle message to them that says, you guys, I'm glad you're over there. Good for you. You ignore them, but you just walk up the middle. I hope that helps. Yeah, thanks for that info. Not fun, that's for sure. Okay, if you haven't already, type, oh yeah, you're welcome, Shelley. Type jump in the comments, and to get access to this little workbook on how to stop jumping without pushing. And there's some little exercises in there for you to do, and there's 3 key steps to stop the jumping. You withdraw the attention, you mark the behavior that you want, because, you know, so many people spend time correcting behavior that they don't want when they haven't made it clear to the dog the behavior that they do want. Here's, I give them a Ricky that barks constantly. They know it's potty time, but it gets annoying. Yeah, not even awake yet. Yeah, so here's a tip for that, Lisa. I don't know. I kind of don't ever do that. And I've worked on my husband because he sleeps, the Pomeranian sleeps in his room, and she's been waking him up early in the morning. And I said, just ignore it. Just don't do it. Just kind of ignore it. So I have what I call the sleep-in drill. And depending on the age of the dog, for puppies, I'll get them up and I'll put them out for a pee, and then I'll bring them in and put them in their crate for at least an hour, because I'm trying to make a point. I don't go by your orders. You go by mine. And with Ricky, you know, depending, once again, you've got that behavior, maybe a habit, and you've got 8, 9 other dogs, so he's going to set them all off. That's the problem with multiple dogs. But you can, I've done this, put a pillow over my head, and I turn my back to them so they know that we're not doing this right now. And the dog will eventually lay down. But if they have a schedule where their system is active, then they have to go. They have to go. And that happens. Here's how that gets started. They bark, and you take them out, and they do their business, and then they come in, and they get to play and eat and have fun. Their day started, and meanwhile, you're not even awake yet. So that's why, as puppies, I take them out, I let them do their business, and I bring them in, I put them away, so that the day starts on my terms. And I'm not unreasonable about it. Like, I don't need them. If it's 7, and if it's like 7, I'm fine to get up with. I'm not fine to get up at 5. So if they get me up at 5, I put them back in the crate, and then I will get up at between 7 and 8. And pretty soon, it doesn't take long. They're just waiting till 7 or 8. Their system adjusts. But if you've programmed him to have that response to get you to go and start his day when he's demanding it, it's a harder shift. But yeah, funny, not funny kind of thing. All right, folks, we've got 5 minutes left here. So if you've got any questions, post them in the comments. Yeah, hey, Braca Bunch, good to see you. Yeah, dogs, to you, Maria, protective and barks a lot. I need more info. If you have I'm not sure what the question is there, if there was one. So if you want a copy of this workbook, type jump in the comments. If you want a copy of how to prevent the dog fight, I think if you type fighting, that campaign's still active. You can type that in there. and you'll get access to that book. But this little workbook will help you. It'll reinforce what we've talked about, because there's some exercises in there, and it just gives you the top 3 points. Know attention, mark reward, and repeat. Take it into the real world and repeat the same behavior all the time, and get everyone in your family to do the very same thing. All right, I hope that helps. And next week we'll be back here at the same time. And yeah, jump. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, okay, Joan. Yeah, just type jump. Hopefully it worked. Yeah, 6:30 a.m. pod every 2 hours. Yikes. Oh, yikes. Yeah, I don't have those days anymore. But I know I get puppies in here, and that's what happens. So, all right, folks, be sure to keep your eye on. If you're not a follower, be sure to follow me so that you will be notified when we put up the topic for next week's Instagram live. Thank you, Anne. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you got something out of tonight's talk, because I like to talk, just double tap on the screen and let me know, or type yes in the comments and let me know if you want a copy of this book. Don't forget to type jump in the comments. The campaign will be open for a little bit longer. And if you have something that you need help with, sometimes another set of eyes on the situation, somebody that can look at it from a 30,000-foot view, is just the ticket that you need to get that one piece of advice that's going to fix the problem. So go into my Stand store. You can book a free call. You can book a paid call, whether you want to be on the line with me for 15 minutes or an hour or a whole bunch of times. I have options meant to help you, to meet you where you're at. So if you haven't already, type jump in the comments. And thanks for joining in. And we'll see everybody again back here next week, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It may be a little warmer. We'll be closer to, hey, Margaret, good to see you. It'll be Valentine's week. Ooh, okay, getting close. All right, thanks for joining in, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.